it seems unlikely that many human beings would move into this direction. Right? So he's justified it. It doesn't mean that he knows no other people have set foot on this part of the mountain for a long time. Right? He doesn't know that. He can't. That's why it goes in the limitation. But he's shown me his thinking in there, and he's told me like why he thinks that it probably not. We don't need to worry too much about it. It shouldn't affect the results massively, because that area should be largely untouched by human beings.
So whether or not it is control on that, you have to record all your thoughts in the
Right. Yeah. Just any decisions that you've made, you justify. You don't get any points for doing an experiment perfectly unless you put it down into the paper and show me your thinking. So one of the things he will have to do in his control variables, he'll have to say, well, we've got to use the same size quadrat. Okay? Because if he threw the quadrat, the thing to count the plant species, if he threw the quadrat, you have one quadrat for one area, and it was a bigger area, and he was counting. Things you can't control that ideally would be controlled. And that's what a limitation is. But as long as you've acknowledged it and you've shown me your thinking, then you don't have to worry about it. And that's true of science as well. It's not that you don't have to worry about it if you're carrying out a real scientific experiment. What you'll end up doing is you'll end up referring back to that in the evaluation, the limitations. Like if you were to repeat the experiment, how might you go about doing that, right? When you come to do a criterion C, which remember you're not doing this stuff. But that will be the point of that limitation further on in the lab. Water pollution, soil pollution.
Soil pollution,
air pollution. What else? Anything else? There's plenty of others. Yeah. Sorry?
Oh, 你写了
So yes. Are you saying salt?
Salt.
Yeah. So an example
Stream.
of soil pollution would be salinity. Now, of course, you can actually do this experiment yourself in a controlled way as well, because what you could do is you could
Get some
take
salt.
a field and you could personally put different amounts of salt on different areas and then come back after a period of time and see if it's affected the biodiversity. So you can actually artificially, that's true of any of these pollutions as well, you could artificially increase or decrease the pH, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium too in different areas. There's also something called mesocosms. That would be trickier.
What is it called? What?
Biodiversity in that way.
Mesocosm?
But you can, yeah, no, it probably doesn't work because your focus has to be biodiversity, so that's trickier. But you could do that in different ponds, in different lakes, in different soils, in fields, artificially changing either the pollution or the fertility of the soil, increasing or decreasing nutrient levels there. And then look at the biodiversity. Yeah. Yep.
How do you take the samples?
How do you mean?
Oh.
Like, how do you control that the samples is here? Like, we used to compare the product of the biodiversity on a scale. And how to compare like the samples?
Okay, so we'll talk about sampling techniques maybe now. Is there any other ideas people want to contribute to our things you might be able to change that might affect biodiversity more? Or should we go down the other end and look at the sampling techniques now then?
Techniques.
Okay, let's go down. Come bring yourselves and your books down here. We'll leave that up there.
热，
We'll take a look at the
我
sampling.
丢了，我操！抽烟。什么？拍呀！对啊，我钱都拍了。
再拍一个，我懒得拍了，我在录音。
我都拍视频了，你在录音？
为什么要拍视频？
录音我拍视频。
Okay.
I saw that men's bag though. Is this going to be on men's bag?
How do you take samples then? Right, so some of them will. Oh, picture's terrible.